Yeah.
Kanisa iko sambamba.
Hi Daisy.
Hi.
Karibu kwa show.
Asante.
This is Ambukisha.
Kariuki
Kariuki as usual. Thanks for watching. My guest today, my first international guest, Globe's jet setter, Daisy Muthoni Wachira. Karibu.
Asante sana. Happy to be here and can't wait to see how this goes. Yeah, thank you.
It's gonna go great.
Oh yeah, I'm optimistic.
Great to have you here. You told me you believe in destiny, which is something I believe in also, and especially because right now at least I believe there's enough scientific knowledge to support some sort of belief in destiny. But before you got to believe in destiny, there's a journey you've walked, so many experiences. I don't know which one to start with, but I'd like to start with them. 2023.
2023.
Traveling usiku, and you never learned your lesson. You're still traveling at night.
I mean, that's part of destiny, as we've said. You believed in destiny, and for me, I feel like when I say I believe in destiny, I mean what was meant to happen to you will still happen to you, no matter the path. Like the journey could be different, and you might take very many maneuvers, but what was meant for you will definitely be for you. And in this I mean both the positive and the negative. No matter how cautious you are, I believe if something was meant to happen to you, it was going to happen to you. And as we're saying, this was solidified in so many things in my life have made me believe in the same. But also, as we're saying, in 2023, whatever happened to me, we are going to talk about it, of course. It solidified that, because if I'm being honest, even before the accident happened to me, I think I was actually mentioning to my friend Ida, and I asked her, do you ever have times when you think an accident could happen to you when you're traveling? And she told me, no, I've never had such thoughts. But for me, I always used to think about it. And so on that day, it dawned on to me, actually today is the day. And at that moment, now my only concern was, I've thought about an accident before, if it could happen to me, but I never thought about the situations and what could come after. And so at this point I was like, but is this the end? Is this it? Is this what wipes me out? So I think that was my main concern. And I think I've never thought about that part of how it's gonna go for me at the end, but that part of the accident, I had always thought about it, and I somehow knew it's gonna come, but I just didn't know how. And I mean, it was not my first day to travel by car. It was not my first day to travel at night. So I believe it was meant to happen, and it happened at that time. And it also makes me believe that I think the worst that was to happen to me has happened. Yeah.
That was the worst thing that has ever happened to you?
I mean, other things have happened before. Things happen and you feel like, oh, I think I might not recover from this. I think this is a hard hit for me. But the moment you're gambling with your life, that desperation, I feel like that's different. That's different when you are on survival mode. That was different. I feel like that was the worst that has happened to me. Oh yeah, so as I was saying, I feel like a lot can happen with you, but as we always say, a lot has happened in life, but we've never thought about the other end. So the moment you have an experience that makes you feel like you're transitioning to the other end, I would say that was the worst that has happened to me, because if you die, you're not going to recover from that. I mean, there is life after death. We've been promised there is life after death, but I would say I'm not guaranteed about that. So anything else that could happen but still leave you alive, I believe we can always recover from that. And not that I believe each one of us has an experience that maybe you thought, I might never recover from this, but with time, it wears down and you're able to recover from it. But if you are somewhere desperate, gambling about your life, you are trapped. And the only thing you have is hope. And the only thing you're telling God is, please don't let this be it. An accident, I could perceive that I would have an accident, yes, but is this what wipes me out? And remember this time when it happened in 2023, I had just graduated in 2022, barely a year. I just finished, I graduated and then I was doing an internship. And then I started a role as an assistant after the internship. And then now I had transitioned from that company to what I felt like aligned with my purpose and my life. Like I had now transitioned into my current role. So I kind of felt at peace with myself. And then again, now this happens and you feel like I might actually not get out of this car. Yeah, so.
Do you want to talk about what happened, like before the accident? How the accident came to be?
Well, if you guys want to hear about it, I can definitely talk about it.
Please.
Okay, so you want to hear about it? Okay. People want to hear about the accident. So this is what happened. Or rather, this is what I remember. I think every other time I'm giving this story to someone, new details pop. Things that I may have overlooked before. But this is what I've got to say. So, what happened was I was traveling to my sister's. She lives in Kariuki. I used to live in Kitengela back then. And on the day I was to travel on a Thursday, it was the 3rd of August. So I told my sister she had an engagement over the weekend, and she also wanted me to go and be at her place with her kids. And I told her I'm going to confirm, and even gave her the option. For some reason, I didn't want to travel, but gave her the option of, why don't you come to Nairobi, to Kitengela that is, leave the kids with me, then go to your engagements, and then I'll bring them back. I for some reason, I always used to travel to her place, but this one time, I was not too excited about it. But then, at the same time, I had another lady that we were working with on a project. We were doing some activation workshops for some girls. And she calls me and tells me she has actually got, she has received a call from Red Cross Nanyuki, and they want her to go and do some activation with some girls. They're going to have a meeting with some girls and do an activation. So in my mind, being ambitious, I was like, this actually, you know what, you'll not go by yourself. I will come join you. And then because it's in Nanyuki, then proceed to my sister's. That's why I was not traveling over the weekend. I was traveling on Thursday so that we can do the activation on Friday and then have the weekend at my sister's place. And this lady, I didn't confirm. I told her, but I'm going to confirm if I'm able to make it. Because remember, on Thursday, I also have work to do. Like, this is what I needed to prioritize first before traveling. And I think at 3 p.m. is when I confirmed to her that I'm actually going to come and join you. And I went to the office, packed up some things, and I was ready to go. Remember, this is 3 p.m. And there's another friend of mine who was my neighbor, and she was also working from home on that day, and she came and asked me, told me you're going to Nanyuki, na bado hujatoka? And I told her, sini hapa, sini lami.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's 3 hours, so whether I travel in the morning or in the evening, it's the same distance, nothing changes. So I'm still going to travel. And then something else happened. I hope you don't mind this. I so happened to receive my menses on the same day. And sometimes it can be distractive. So for me, you know, whatever the feelings that you have on that day, you really don't want to be up and about. I really avoid that. But this one day, I felt like I think I can manage this. And so at 4 p.m. is when I actually resolved that I'm actually going to travel. Na nikaanza kukimbia huko kama mtu hajui alikuwa na travel. Now this is me packing, this is me washing the utensils to leave the house in order to head out. Because I knew when I go to my sister's, I'm not sure if I'm going to come back immediately after the weekend or I might extend my stay. Nikajipanga, and I think I left the house at 5:30. And then kuingia Mombasa Road, when we got to Cabanas, there was heavy traffic. Apparently there was a trailer and ilikuwa it was taller than the limit at the footbridge.
Yeah.
So it got stuck. So there was heavy traffic. Out of the blues, a long-term friend of mine calls me. She lives in Georgia. And I actually tell her I'm going to Nanyuki, but I'm not sure if I'm going to make it because I'm in traffic. And she tells me, if you get into town and you decide you're not going to go to Georgia, you can always spend at my place, and then you can travel tomorrow.
So you go spend at Georgia, then travel to Nanyuki the next day?
Yes, on Friday. And I told her, yes, let me get to town, and I'm going to get back to you and tell you if I'm coming to your place. At the same time, my cousin texted me, and I told her I'm actually going to Nanyuki, but I'm not sure if I'm going to make it to Nanyuki. She was also a student at JKUAT, so she was in Juja. In case I'm not going to travel, I will let you know if I come to Juja. Yeah, and that was it. And funny thing is that I had told my friend that I'll get to town, check the situation with the cars and everything and the time, and then get back to her. But I did none of that. Like, I went straight to Nanyuki cabs. And when I got to Nanyuki cabs, that was the circle I used to use. They had the matatu. Unajua ukitravel na matatu, there's this waiting for it to, get other passengers. Yeah. So they had the back seat at the middle that was empty. So I always used to use Nanyuki cabs, and because of the many trips that I had been making, the frequent trips I'd been making to Nanyuki, I had got into contact with the lady who was in charge of ticketing. So actually when she saw me, she was like, oh, you're back. In fact, I only have one seat for you. But then it was a shuttle. The Nanyuki cabs, you see, is the shuttle, the 10-seater shuttle. And then it was the back seat at the center. And sijui kama camera inaonyesha, but naturally I'm short. Wale mimi ni wenye wanasemanga I will come back briefly, but I'll come back as I am. So I'm short. So I imagined, because I was carrying my laptop and I had other gadgets with me, so I needed to have my bag with me. And then I'm sitting on this back seat. Most of the time when I sit on that back seat, my legs are swaying. Yeah. So I didn't want that. And unfortunately, there wasn't an option for change of seats. So I gave it up. But that meant that I had to go with the next vehicle of the same circle. And that means I had to wait from scratch. Like I was the first passenger on that shuttle. And given that by right now, if I got from my house around 5:30, it's almost 7:30. It's 7:30 to 8. Mind you, I've not yet even confirmed to my sister whether I'm traveling. I love surprises. Oh, but this time I was surprised. So I just after, you see, there's the tendency that if certain circles of matatus ply a certain route, they are definitely concentrated in one area. So just behind it, there was another circle that I'm not going to mention, and they were still plying the same route. And this matatu at least had a few passengers on board. And I got to sit the 3-seater just behind the driver, the 3-seater seat, then just behind the driver. So I actually had even space to place my bag with my laptop.
So did you change from Nanyuki cab to this other circle?
Yes, this other circle. For the first time, I'd never, actually, even when I was being probed, when I was in hospital, like, what circle? I couldn't tell what circle. I didn't even get the name because I'd never used the circle. Yeah. So I sit there just behind the driver, and then in no time, the vehicle was full. And I remember I got from my house like in a rush. I didn't take anything, so I actually felt hungry. And I thought of buying yogurt from the hawkers. But then there are always these stories we hear about yogurts from the hawkers and everything. And I was like, I've never done it, so why would I do it now? I mean, it's just a 3-hour drive, and I know, well, the moment I call my sister, well, she knows she will host me. She will definitely have something prepared for me. So instead, and remember, I'm still cramping. As I mentioned, I'm on my day 1 of menses. So I had carried a hot water bottle. I was like, you can always survive on water, so I have this water to keep me going. And I think at around 8 or, just that period, I don't know the exact time, we left. I think it was around 7:30 actually when we left Nairobi. And when we left Nairobi, the seat next to me, it's a 3-seater. The passenger was to be picked, and also the seat next to the driver. So like this trip, we had no passengers that to be picked on our way. So yeah, the journey started, and we got to Githurai. We picked the 2 ladies. Then we continued on. So when I passed Juja, I actually called my cousin and told her, actually, I was considering to come, but let me just. Actually, I thought of dropping at that point, but then the fact that I was on my menses, I was like, this will be very chaotic in someone's house. You just want to get where you are going. And so we proceeded on smoothly. And then I called my sister, I think when we were in Muranga, and told her, actually I'm coming. And she was like, oh, we are waiting for you. And yes, from there I just got on my phone sending different messages. Like I can't really recall to details what I was doing, but safari imeshika. And especially when you're going to Nanyuki and then you're using the Nairobi Nyeri highway and you get to where you branch, you feel like you are here, like it's in a matter of 1 hour you'll be there. So actually thought tumefika. So tukafika. It's funny because people say the accident happened before Narumoro, but in my mind I know we passed Narumoro. I lost bearing. Yeah. So apparently it was before Narumoro at a place known as KJ or OJ. Yes. KJ. That spot. Like I can take you to the spot, but that spot, because I thought we had passed Narumoro, and I was on my phone. It was at exactly 9:45 p.m. because that was the last time I was seen online, because I was online sending messages. And I didn't know what happened is records of what I've been told. I actually didn't see it happen. Remember, I was sitting behind the driver, but I didn't see it happen. So what I remember is we are at that spot, and then there's a loud bang, and then like a boom, and then now there's like I could feel tuna skid. Yeah, we are skidding somewhere, but I was not in pain. So I waited until it ended, and then I felt like we are at a stop. And then I'm not sure because the doctors insist that I lost consciousness for a period of time. But what I know after that is that I woke up and I could hear a baby crying, and I could hear people screaming. And so when I woke up, remember it's still dark. So when I woke up, not when I woke up, because I don't know if I slept. I don't know what happened, but I remember now finding myself in this situation where I can't move. I tried to move and I can't move. I tried lifting my hands cannot move. I tried moving my head cannot move. But at least for my head, I felt like I'm trapped. It cannot move because there's something pulling me. And then, so the next thing now, I'm gambling. I'm like, yes, I kind of knew an accident could happen. If you are a frequent traveler, you know that it could happen. You anticipate that it could happen and you only wish that it does not happen. But was this what was going to take me out? And I kept telling God, no, this cannot be it. Like, I just graduated, finished an internship and a traineeship, and then kind of I just transitioned into a role that I was feeling, like I felt my purpose now coming. I was aligning, and now here I am. This is how it ends. So I remember even, I don't know if I'm a sadist, but I remember seeing my eulogy, and I was like, what a waste. Like, you just came to go through school, and I mean, like, I kept on saying, no, this cannot be it. I had that belief, this cannot be it. But as much as I'm saying this cannot be it, I cannot move. So I actually, if I'm being honest, I panicked a lot and I was desperate. But then it was at that moment that I felt the strongest urge I've ever had to live. I had the will to live now. like, this could not be it. So I'm there now. Finally, I felt like my hand, this left hand, could move. My hand is moving. And then I touched my head. The first thing I did is touch my head. And I felt I was wet. But remember, I had the hot water bottle that I was talking about. And I had been sipping the water. So I was hoping it's this water that has poured on me. And that's why I'm wet and warm. So I touched my head. But it's dark, so I cannot see. So I touched and then I tasted. And so there's that rustic taste with blood. I don't know if you've tasted blood, guys, but I promise that was the only day I tasted blood, actually. Usiniogope, eh?
Yeah, I've tasted blood as a child. You suck on your finger when you have a cut, and there's the rusty metallic taste to it. So, head wet, you think it's your warm water bottle.
I'm hoping.
You're hoping, but you have the instinct to taste.
Yes, so it don't should be that is blood. And as a hapa, as I'm saying, I'm not, I would say I'm not the Daisy I was before. At this point, this is Daisy with a strong will to live. This is Daisy who is very, what would I say? This is Daisy who is very desperate. I'm actually very desperate to live. At this point, I think I would trade anything for my life. That's why I said I think that was the worst feeling ever. The feeling that this could be it, and you're going through it, and you're conscious. I mean, and also, as I was saying, this is where destiny is now tested, because I always said I believed in destiny. I still do. So I'm like, yeah. So yes, I know I'm meant. One day, I'm meant to be on the other side of this world. But if this is destiny, then I don't want it. Is there a way I can tweak this destiny for me? So I know I tasted, and it's actually blood. And then so I extended my hand and felt soft things. So my instincts told me if there was damage that was to happen, it has already happened. Because when I was feeling that loud, I could feel, I knew there's something that is happening to me, but I don't know what it is. But something, now that was a conclusion that something has happened. So, and remember at this point, I don't know how science explains that, but I'm not in any pain. That was what was even worrying me more. Because you're told when someone dies, they're not in pain anymore. So, okay, a lot could have happened to me, but I'm not in pain anymore. Yeah. No, no. I begged. I've never begged God like on that day. I was telling him, please. And I was doing it loudly. Like, no, this cannot be it. So I actually know I'm using the left hand. So I could feel my head cannot move. So what I did, I just lifted it a bit. And anywhere I could feel I'm stuck. Then I had dreadlocks. So anywhere I could feel I'm stuck, I pull out. I'm not in any pain. So I pull until I felt actually my head has been released. And then at this point, I could hear people outside talking. And they are saying, they're pulling out the driver. And then I don't know if I'm too tiny or too dark. For some reason, they were not seeing me. Because I could hear them say they want to overturn the vehicle. But I know I'm stuck. So I can only imagine what that could do to me. And I don't know what parts of me are still in the vehicle. So I was shouting to them, telling them, no, don't. But when we came to recollect what was happening, they say I was not talking. But to me, I knew I was shouting, telling them, don't. And then it so happened that miraculously, they saw me. And I only had one request, by the way. I told them to lift me by my left hand. I pulled myself out. But the moment I got on the tarmac now, I felt weak. They had to carry me and lie me on the side. So the transition between the bang and me coming out of the vehicle, it took time, such that we had good Samaritans already who were ferrying people to a nearby dispensary for first aid. And now they thought like those were the most injured of all. And then they see me, and everyone's reaction is like, "Where?" I mean, like, I feel like most of the time people don't perish because of what has happened to them, but rather the environment they are in and the reaction of the people around them. Because yes, I knew I was injured, but I didn't know to what extent. And now people's reaction were confirming to me that actually it's bad. Because they were like, "Where?" And then there was that man, he had his car, and he told the people who had already been put inside, "No, you guys come out. Let me take this one first."
Wow.
And he requested the gents. Apparently, by this time, there's even a crowd that has already gathered. I don't know from where. And he requests them take her inside the vehicle. So that time when I stood, my clothes fell off. Because there was a lot of wear and tear there was a lot of tear during the skid.
Because you're on the window seat, so when the car overturned, you were scraped against the tarmac and your clothes tore off on one side.
Yes. Yes. So when I saw that, because I actually had a very legit leather jacket that I had got in Rwanda, I loved it. So the moment I stood, it fell. And I was like, you remember at this point now, I'm bleeding so much from my head, this side, the right side of my head. So I'm inclined to stay like this. I had dreadlocks that I've pulled out, and some of them have been, there's a lot that is happening on my head. I had not even realized about other parts of my body. My head was my concern. So my head is heavy because the dreadlocks are soaked in blood. So I'm inclined like this. I was now turning, like a robot.
Yeah.
And nikaekwa kwa gari. And then when my clothes fell, my phone also fell. So they collected the phone for me and gave it to me. And then this still man, I actually don't know who it was, but the Good Samaritan now, he tells them, he asks me, because now our bags are being taken out of the car. He asks me, "Can you identify your bags?" And I did identify my 2 bags. I had a handbag that I had borrowed from a friend. I'm not going to mention names. And then I had my jungle green Denry bag with my laptop and everything. So I identified my bags. So I was put in the car, and then my bags next to me. And then other people came into the car. So we were ferried to a dispensary. It was, I think, 3 days or 2 days before the Narumoro General Hospital was launched by the president. So it was still in readiness for that. So it was not active. Rather, they had a dispensary by then. So I was taken to that part, and actually it was more of like a maternity. Yeah, so that's where we were taken. So this whole period, I mean, I'm starting to feel dizzy. But then, remember, I'm not in pain. And people rest in peace, and they're not in pain anymore. And I'm feeling dizzy. No. So I'm trying to keep myself active. I'm singing. I'm talking to whoever wants to talk back to me. Yes. And we got there. We were taken in that emergency, whatever room. We were there, all of us now. Almost everybody was in that car, depending on the severity of your injuries. They were administering some medication. But, I skipped a part. So when I got my phone from the ground and I was taken in the car, the first thing I did was call my sister. And she did not pick, because I told her I'm coming home. So she assumes I'm calling because I'm at the gate. So I pick. Instead, she takes the key and opens the gate. There's no one. She comes back to the house. I'm still calling. So she picks. And I tell her, "Sylvia, nimepata accident." Ebu kuja na ukuje na taxi. She hangs up. Because, I mean, I think the way I broke it to her, I don't know. She would speak for herself, but now that I think about it, I mean, that must have been very shocking for her. I don't know how she actually got the stamina to call me back. So she hangs up, and then like after 3 minutes, she calls me. This time, remember, I'm on transition to the dispensary, and then she calls me, and she tells me, Daisy, kuna mtu mko na yeye hapo mwenye naweza ongea na yeye? I tell her, no, you're talking to me. I'm saying, got into an accident, kuja na ukuje na taxi. Na ukikuja na taxi, unipeleke Cottage na Nyuki, ama Madhari Nyeri. I could tell a lot has happened, and I don't want to be in a hospital where I keep being referred for tests, you know. And that was the last time we spoke. And then next to me, when we were being transitioned to the dispensary, was the lady who was picked in Githurai. The same lady who was seated next to me in the matatu. And because I can feel, I'm feeling dizzy, I removed all the security features from my phone. Like I removed the pin, I removed the pattern. And I showed her my sister's contacts. And I told her, in case of anything, please call this number. But I'm still holding the phone, but I showed her. But now she even knows that my phone is pinless. But I mean, we've all been in this situation, so I wouldn't think beyond. I think that was the only response that I could have at that point. Like I did what I had to do at that point. So we get to the dispensary, people are being, they're doing first aid, and they're very skeptical about me. Because apparently I had a very deep cut in my head. I had not even checked my hand. My hand was broken, my right hand. So, watu walikuwa wanaona huyu anaenda Sayuni. Huyu, by the way, we don't know how it will end. And because I had had situations of people getting involved in accidents and getting head injuries, and I knew the severity of it, including my own dad. So, I was also very worried about my head. And when they finished doing first aid, bandaging everyone, that's when they came to me.
Aren't you the most injured? Weren't you supposed to be the first priority?
I think sometimes you have to sacrifice one for the rest.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting philosophy. But
just, I mean, that's the only way I could justify what they did. And then when they come to me, they actually want to address my hand. I'm not even aware of the hand. I'm telling you, I was not aware of anything that has happened to my hand. And then when they get to my head now, she goes and gets scissors and she's asking me, can I cut your hair? I'm telling her, yes, do. Then she goes and says, no, I need some light. And so there's a lot of back and forth before anything is done. And then she wipes me with a bandage, and like tiny pieces of glass fall. And now she's telling me, she's handling me using her fingertips. She's just holding my head. She's telling me, bend, and I'm telling her, can you tell me, what is it? And then she tells me, and then I ask her, is it that bad? And she tells me, yeah, this wacha nikwambie ukweli, umegongwa na uko na shimo. Yeah. So that's when I got into my hallelujah praise, because yes, nimegongwa kichwa and I'm feeling dizzy, and so I know what this could mean. Walai, I might nap and go forever. And at this time, I'm mad. Why is my sister not getting here? How far is it from Narumoro to Nyahururu? Because at this point, it's at 1 a.m.
Nyuki to Narumoro.
Remember, the last time it was 9:45. Yeah. So it says it was 10. 3 hours later, what are you still doing? I was mad. I was mad at her. But I didn't even realize that I've not been communicating with her. I'm just mad at her, but I've not been communicating with her. Because I assumed if she called, the other lady must have picked the call and directed her where we are. Kumbe yule naye alikuwa biashara. My phone is already off and gone. So my sister is trying to reach me, but she cannot. So you can only imagine what that did to her. You told me you're in an accident. I could hear the desperation in your voice. Now I'm calling your phone, it's off. She might have as well assumed that the owner of the phone is also off. So my sister now was coming, and then she goes back to Nanyuki, goes to the police station, asks them, is there a record of an accident? Where was it? Where are they? At this point, remember, Narumoro is in Nyeri. Nanyuki is in Laikipia. So the accident, even if it is to be recorded, it's to be recorded in Nyeri, not in the other side.
So they have no record in Nanyuki?
Yes, they don't even have any news.
Wow.
Yeah, so after a few hours, like, you know, she's also, I could also imagine she's not like, I don't know to describe her situation, but I can only imagine she was not herself. So she decides, let me actually now, I will go through the whole route, checking where there could have been a trace of an accident, until they got to the spot. And they were told actually they've been taken to the hospital. Remember, the hospital was to be launched. So even the gate is in place and everything. So for them, they are directed directly to the main hospital. Us took just a fence away on the other side in a very small structure. No one would imagine we are there. So now she's looking for us. She's making rounds with the taxi driver. The taxi driver even climbed on top of that fence, like, you know, to the other side, and he was like, there's no sign of anyone inside here. And now at this point, I think the taxi driver is the one who's actually looking for me, not my sister. I think at this point, my sister is just, yeah, she's just there. And now it's at 1 a.m., 1 something, and out of nowhere, I start shouting my sister's number. I start telling them, can you just call this number? I don't know how I didn't even reason to get my phone. I just told them, can you call this number? And so one nurse called the number. And my sister said, but we are here, but we cannot find you guys. And then she was directed. So when she was directed, she came, and outside there was a crowd of people. And she's asking where the people were involved in an accident that she saw there inside this room. And then they're asking, how, you knew someone? And then she's like, yes, my sister. And then they're like, ha, ako kadogo. Aki kamegongwa, I could hear them. Aki kamegongwa, huyo ni sisterko. And so my sister is now hesitating to come inside. I mean, everyone's reaction is telling her it's bad. But come on, by the way, people always say that I had lost everything else, but I did not lose my voice. So I shouted, Sylvia, Sylvia, I can hear you outside there. Can you come in? Because I wanted her to discharge me from this place and we go to a proper hospital. So she comes. I didn't even say hi to her. I told her, give me your phone. I took the phone. I searched the hospital cottage. I looked for their number online and I called them and I asked them, hi, do you have a CT scan? They told me, yes, we do. Are you admitting people right now? They were like, yes. Then they were like, are you bringing someone in? I told them, no, I'm bringing myself in.
Wow.
I told them, I'm bringing myself in. And so now another thing starts. I thought my sister was going to get here and we are good to go. But apparently I need a discharge sheet from this dispensary. It's a medical facility like any other. They admitted me. Remember, they've not even given me a painkiller.
All this while you've been there?
Yes, but I need a discharge sheet from them. Second scenario. My sister realized I don't have any of my bags. They're lost. the dispensary and the police station, they actually share a fence. But this accident has not yet been reported in the police station. So guess who's going to write the OB? My sister. It is from 10 to 1.
So that's 10 to 1, that's 3 hours.
You only got here. I'm telling you guys, I'm so desperate to leave. I want to get myself into a proper hospital. You're telling me we go and write an OB? These officers went to the crime scene. How comes nothing was recorded? What are you telling me? And the hospital cannot release me without an OB. Yes. So I'm telling my sister I don't need one. The hospital said you need one, the nurses. So she took one nurse, they went to the police station. They kind of wrote something. And now it's at this point that the police station is now offering transport through their vehicles to carry me and other people to a proper hospital, to Nanyuki town. So, at least for me, my sister had organized transport for me. So immediately they got the OB, we headed out. And I really appreciate because the nurses tried to fasten the process. Like they tried to release me the earliest they could, but there was that protocol that had to be followed. Like there's the documentation that needs to be done because we came into a facility. So yes.
I like that you used the word protocol. The other words I could have used.
I'm healing.
Yeah. Bureaucracy comes to mind, and like a broken bureaucracy, but protocol. Let's call it protocol.
Yeah,
because
let's call
it's
it
your
protocol.
Story. Yeah.
Because that's what they said. Yeah, let's call it protocol. So yeah. we go into the we now go cottage. I've already confirmed they have a CT scan. I've told you at this point I'm not aware that my hand is broken. The only thing that concerns me is my head. So we go.
So you're leaving the dispensary.
Yes.
Without even your hand having been bandaged up or propped up.
No. I think when my sister came, before they got the OB and everything, she questioned why I'm unattended. So they had bandaged my hand and my head as it was.
Oh, okay. Okay. So basic first aid now has been done at least.
Yes, but they didn't clean. They just put a bandage.
Uh-huh.
Maybe to stop the bleeding because my sister questioned. Yeah, so we go, and then at this point I've been given a lasso to cover myself. We get to cottage now, to the hospital, and yeah, we got there and we went through to the emergency room. My sister was handling all. She was the superhero at this point. She was handling all the nitty-gritties. I even don't know. So at that point, they're even asking me if I need a wheelchair. I'm telling them no. I just need a little support. And I got to the emergency room. By the moment I got there and laid on that bed, I don't want to say my body gave in, but I think I would describe it as trust now. At this point, I'm now trusting the doctor and my sister. Like, I think it now just dawned to me what could have happened. I just wanted to see myself in that emergency room. So, yeah, from that point, they kept asking me, should we cut your hair? And I'm telling them, you just do anything that you think could help, recover from this. Just do anything. Now at that point, I even start shaking. I start crying. Now it starts coming down to me like what has been, what has happened now. But now at least you are here. So it's not that, I feel like even the other time I was very scared but still strong at the same time. And kind of brave and kind of now had the resilience. I had the urge to live. And then at this point, I think what I would describe myself is now I had trust on people. Like, I just needed to get myself here. Now I trust you guys from here. Yeah. So I think I was admitted at around 3 a.m. or something. Yeah, now we've got all the way to 3 a.m. Yeah, and they tried to clean, but every time they're cleaning, there are tiny particles of glass that is coming from my head. And now, they can't even stitch because they don't know how much more glass is inside. And at that point, they declared, now we need to get you into a theater for the cleanup process and everything. And they are now injecting me, trying to numb me. As I said, I had lost so much blood, but now, before that, I used to go, where they normally do the blood test and they're injecting you.
Yeah.
Hey, they've done so much. Hey, they've done too much. But at this point now, they're injecting me right, left, and center, even on my head.
Oh.
And they're drawing blood because they also need to prepare me for the theater. They also want to check, I don't know, my levels. No, there was a lot everyone was all over me with a needle. Some are injecting stuff to me. Some are taking out stuff. And at this point, I was like, yes, I know I've lost a lot of blood, but please draw some more. Let's see what remains. Yeah, so I think that's the process until I got to hospital, and then now they did scans for me. Now it's now morning.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing scans to me. They're prepping me for theater and everything. My sister is still there. She was the superhero in this story. She was. I don't know where she was mentally, but she didn't allow herself to show it. So she was just there telling me, no, it's gonna be fine, reassuring me, moving with me from room to room. I remember they even had to warm their drip. I don't know what drips they were getting into me, but they had to warm it because at this point now I'm shaking a lot.
So your body is now like you're over the shock. Now you're starting to process what has just happened.
Yes, and I'm shaking a lot. They're trying to keep me warm. Remember, I've lost so much blood, but thank God I didn't need a transfusion. Yeah, at that point your body surprises you of what it's capable of handling. Yeah, so my sister is with me all the way to theater, to the door, and I ask her. I think at this point I was also not being realistic and logical. Remember, yesterday I took her from her house yesterday night. She has not even gone back.
Who are the kids left with?
She had a help.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't even have time to think about that. And so at this point, I kept on demanding more and more from her. Now I'm demanding, I'm requesting, if she could go with me into theater.
Oh.
And she tells me, yes, we will go. So we go until the last door. At the last door, she tells the nurses, no, I'm not going with her. Remember at this point, this side, my hand was broken and I also had like bruises. But I had not realized it. I can't even turn myself. Inashikiwa hapa kwa mgongo, wananipindua hivi. So when they're shifting me from bed to bed,
yeah.
Especially when I was going to theater and they were prepping me for theater and everything. And so my sister, I thought we were going with her to theater. I actually don't know what I expected her to do inside there. I mean, I was just being selfish. I just kept on demanding from her. And so she leaves and goes back home. And I get into theater. The amnesia is on and everything. And they do their thing. And then I think now the other part I remember is when I was in the recovery place. But they said that I talked a lot about my sister during the whole period, even when I was in the recovery room. And I kept on saying how she's a bad sister. She told me she would be with me, and then she betrayed me at the last moment. She's a fake friend. She's... I talked a lot about her. I don't know why. Because right now, when I process it, I see I had taken so much from her just through that process. I think she had given me the most that she could. because as much as I was the one undergoing the process, she was equally going through it. Even physically, she was exhausted. Mentally, I can only imagine. Emotionally, I can only imagine. And she was by herself. And at this point, remember, I have told her not to call my parents. I want to know my fate first before you call anyone. How are you going to call people and tell them I've been injured and I have a deep cut in my head and I don't know what it means? I don't know if it got to my skull. I don't know if this is the last time you're having a normal conversation, or I might lose my mind after, you know head injuries and what could happen to you. So at this time I'm telling her, don't call them, because what, at this point I'm calling the friends I know. These ones should be in a position to handle it. That's when I call people like Joss. Told them, we had talked the evening before, and I told her I'm coming to Nanyuki, and now I'm telling her, hey, actually, I have a room that you can visit me in. I mean, I own a whole room in Nanyuki now. I have a whole ward by myself. I cannot accept visitors in my own place in Nanyuki. So, kumbe sistangu, when I was in theater, she went, made calls. And now almost everyone is aware of what is happening. So I get out of theater. I remember since, I don't know, yesterday at 1 p.m. when I took lunch in my house in Kitengela, I've not eaten anything. Because even when I got to the hospital, they couldn't administer anything to me, because they were preparing me for theater. So this is the next day at around 12. I'm out of theater. And then now I'm also processing. I think I had a lot of tears that period. I'm now also processing what has happened. Now I'm out of theater. I'm guaranteed my head is good. Because before I went to theater, now they came and with the results from the scans that they did, and they told me, you actually it only got to the scalp. I mean, that was all I needed to hear. Scalp. It's the flesh part, but not, it didn't go beyond the scalp. So I'm now processing what has happened. I can now feel my hand. My hand is in pain. Now my hand is in pain. I'm looking, I can see scars. I can't move this hand. I'm telling doctor, I cannot move this hand. And they're telling me, yeah, we already told you block your clavicle. I didn't get that, but I only wanted to hear about my head. So now we start treatment for these other things. But remember, this whole time, my stomach was untouched. So I'm equally hungry. Guys, I'm hungry. And so they take me back to the ward after the recovery, and I'm with a very lovely nurse there. And she's asking me what happened. And I tell her I got into an accident. I think that was the first time I said it. I got into an accident. And so I break down. And then she tells me, you know what? You've just missed Sylvia. Because I'd been talking about her through the whole time. And so she tells me, I'm just going to call her, and then she will come and you'll be okay. In the meantime, should I get you some porridge? I told her, no, I don't want porridge, I want food. So she went and got me some mashed potatoes and some chicken and everything. And it had not dawned to me what has happened. So I took a very large bite, got it. I couldn't open my mouth. Remember, they've stitched my head.
No.
So I realized I cannot open my mouth. But I'm hungry. The food is right here, but I cannot open my mouth. Yesterday I could eat anything. I could eat, bring me sugar cane, I will chew it. Now we are in this situation where I cannot. And I'm asking myself, will this be a lifetime thing? Like there's a way life humbles you. Being in that survival mode, it humbles you properly. So yeah, so I think those were part of the emotions that I was now processing. Yes, and now I had to take very little bites. They had to mash everything for me. If it's fruit, they're blending for me. Yes. And then, remember, we've not talked with my sister since, because I still don't have a mobile phone. And then it's visiting hours. I mean, I'm coming back at around 12. So in barely an hour, they are here. And she comes with a bunch of people, including my mother and my friends. I didn't know these guys were coming. And yeah, the emotions were raw. Very raw. Yeah, but with time, you get to process it. Hey, yeah. And now the healing journey starts when you leave hospital. Yes, that's when the real journey starts now.
And you can talk about it now without crying.
What?
The whole story that you have.
Oh yeah, I can talk about the story, but as I'm saying, the healing journey starts once you're out of hospital. Like, I think it takes time, because for me, if I'm being honest, I would say I'm still processing, and I'm still in that journey of healing, because I really can't say for sure what that changed in me. I am sure it changed a lot.
I'm gonna come to that. How that changed you. I still have. You mentioned a baby crying, so in my head I'm still. Where was the baby?
So apparently we had a baby in the car.
You did?
Yes, but thank God the baby came out unhurt.
Okay.
Yes, but I think from the whole thing and the shaking and everything, now the baby was scared. Honestly, I've never followed up on what happened to the mother and the baby, because sometimes accidents happen and people have internal injuries that you're not aware of at the moment. But what I know is the baby was unhurt.
Okay. So the loss of consciousness that the doctors told you might have had is like the unawareness between when the car is you're on the road, everything is fine, and when you realize I'm now being scraped against the tarmac.
I really can't pinpoint when it happened, but I tend to think after the whole impact, I blacked out for maybe a few seconds or a few minutes, because I don't remember even the people sitting next to me getting out of the car.
Okay.
I only remember now finding myself and the driver in the car.
And that could also be due to shock, right?
Maybe.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we could try to be strong about it and share about it with humor and everything, but the fact remains that at that point I was desperate and very panicked. Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, and so the journey began. Started with my hair, and I became very handsome for some time.
You had to shave off
I
everything.
didn't have to shave off. They had to cut everything. Especially, it's so raw. You go to theater and they're cutting half this side of the head, like, and so they've remained some very few dreadlocks around here. You wouldn't survive with that. So once I got out of the hospital, I didn't shave off immediately, because I also needed like to give my head time. I mean, who's gonna shave you in that situation? Everyone, your head at that point is very delicate. Yeah, so with time. So initially what we did, we just cut everything with scissors. And now I looked like my father. I was a junior, I was a junior him, typically. Remember at this point I'm even wearing very baggy clothes, because I have an arm sling. I'm not wearing, I'm only wearing things that I can zip up. Yes. Yeah, but yeah, I think I missed that era when I was handsome, because I think I was handsome and beautiful at the same time. But something actually that shocked me was, you would think you're strong and you'd think that you can handle everything, but then at some point you need to just let life be. You cannot ignore these emotions that keep coming up, these feelings. Because I remember, like, for the first time when I was being taken for the clinics back to hospital, we had to use a car. And it was very sunny outside, but I got into the car and I was shivering. And as much as you might want to fool everyone around you that you're good, hiyo nayo inakuuza tu.
Yeah.
Inakuuza tu. So I think being patient with yourself and having people who are supportive around you, that was key to me in that period, and even now. Yes. Because there are times you actually think and you see that this actually changed a lot in me. And every other time you think about it, you realize something that you may not have realized before. Yes.
I'm very curious about, you say at the height of it all, you had the most intense urge to leave. Did that carry on, or did it end after you were done with the clinics and you are all healed and well?
No, I think I still have that.
What does it feel like? Like that strong urge
I
to
think
leave?
before I was on autopilot mode, because as I said before, I just graduated from school. Before, life had this pattern, like after this there's this, after this there's this, after this there's this. But then at that point I realized, oh, actually you are actually here. There's a chance that you would not be here and there would not be the
After
next.
this.
There would not be the after this. So for me right now, and even as part of the things that it changed in me, I think that accident happened at the optimal time in my life, because I was just transitioning from like the pattern of school to the afterlife. And thank God I didn't transition to the afterlife.
The afterlife of after school.
Yes, the afterlife of after school. Because I think when you are going through school, I don't know if it's just me or it actually, you'd say the same, but when you're in school here,
Here in Kenya.
no, I think even in the world, I think anyone who is in like a curriculum or a system, your success is defined by your grades and your qualifications and your ability to transition to the next level. You transition from primary, you get to high school. That's a success. That's an achievement. You have a certificate to show. You transition from high school to campus, are again an achievement and a certificate to show. You transition from your degree to your master's, again an achievement and a success. You would say someone who has done a master's is more successful than someone who has done a bachelor's. People, I don't know about you, but people would say that. Someone else would say someone who has done, who ended it at high school, and someone who ended it at bachelor's. This person who did the bachelor's is at a higher level than the high schooler. You get? So I think at that time, I had not actually come to realize that there's more to life than the academic success. I think to me right now, and I know that my definitions of success will keep evolving as I go through life, but to me right now, I think being at peace with myself and being aligned with my purpose and feeling alive, not just, there's being alive and there's feeling alive. That, and I don't know how I could explain it to you. I don't know how I could make you feel alive. I mean, you have to do that work for yourself. So that feeling alive, feeling that I actually am in this place, I'm in this space at this moment for a specific reason or a specific purpose. And I gotta leave it because I'm not guaranteed about tomorrow. Remember, this accident only took milliseconds to happen. Whoever I sent the last WhatsApp message may have assumed I just went offline. But that could have been it for me on the face of life. But what could I have lived for? She did. She went to primary, she qualified, she went to campus, she qualified, she went to uni, she qualified, she did an internship, and that's the end of her short, beautiful life.
Daisy.
Yeah.
I'm feeling every emotion on the planet. I feel shock, the frustration, the anger, the fear, and everything else that you felt through that whole story. And you tell it so beautifully, and you capture all the emotional highlights. So I needed a break to just cool down and absorb that whole story, because it is a powerful story, and I think it encapsulates the whole human experience. Thank you for the story, Daisy. So many emotions are coming up, or at least came up during the storytelling itself. There was anger, there's frustration, there's confusion, there's shock, and there's determination to leave, and so many other emotions that I felt as I listened to this story. So Daisy, I needed a break to just process. all that, I guess the number of emotions, the intensity, and the rawness of it all, it's all so very real. And I'm glad you're able to share that story and that part of yourself with us. Now, there are things that come up as you tell the story for me. You know, after it, you mentioned like when you're going back to the clinic, the trauma, when you get inside the car, you said you're shaking. How long did it take before you felt comfortable to be in a car? And I've seen you behind the wheel driving. How long did it take for you to trust yourself and to just trust a car again?
Well, I said I was shaking when I was going to the clinic, and it's part of the trauma and the trauma response that sometimes you're not aware it's actually inside you. And as I also said that I'm still on this journey, and it's not like an on and off switch that I have these feelings now and I'm not going to have them another time. Some things, simple things could trigger you. And that's where the journey comes. As I say, the journey starts when you're out of hospital now and you start the journey to heal. And I would say I no longer shake when I'm in a car. But as some of my close friends would know, there are instances when I'll be hyperactive inside the car. There are days when I'll just feel, no, this ain't it. And there are other days when I'll be chill and calm. You don't predict what could happen to you. I remember there was a time a friend of mine, so as to your question, like how long did it take? I mean, that's part of destiny. Now, when you go back to what we discussed initially, like this is where you are meant to be. I feel like the worst that was to happen to me has happened. That's what I trust. Now, part of my destiny right now is part of the journey. The destiny is not where I get, but also who I get there as. Like, who I'm, the mess around me, and the end of it all. I don't know if I'm responding to your question. So, to answer you directly, like, I don't think there's a time you would say, like, in 3 months, I'm good. Because I remember I even took a matatu again from Nanyuki to Nairobi now, the reverse. And that one time, my sister insisted to accompany me to Nairobi, and I told her, no, I think I want to do this by myself. Largely because I could see that she's still shaken, and she thought I might never recover from this whole thing that happened, and I wanted to prove a point to her. But when I got into that car, I had to read a book. I attempted to read a book the whole time to keep myself engaged because, again, remember the other time I was on my phone, so I don't want to be on my phone again. But I kept holding those brakes for the driver. We were literally driving with him. Like, the mental torture in me, it was real. Such that when I got to town, a friend of mine called me and I asked her, actually, were you tapping my phone? Because I just got into town and you called me immediately. And she asked me, what are you doing and where are you? And I told her, I got into town and went directly to have lunch because I got into town and I was hungry. It shows the amount of work I got my mind into. So I wouldn't say like there's a specific amount of time, like you would say 3 months, you are healed in 3 months. And I think the only thing you can do is be fair to yourself. When those emotions come up, acknowledge them. Yeah.
Okay, because so healing is a journey.
Yeah, healing is a journey. And you know what's funny actually about this story is that I would be in a car and we are at a speed of 40, 60 and I feel like the driver is over speeding. But I will be on a plane and it's taking off and I've never had doubts. Actually, somebody once asked me, another friend of mine once asked me, I don't know if it's because she's in this room and she's triggering me what we've discussed with her before, but she once asked me, na ukiwa kwa ndege huogopangi speed? Because she was driving and I was sitting next to her and I kept on holding the belt. Like I kept on pressing the brakes and she could tell I was uncomfortable and she asked me, kwani ukiwa kwa ndege huogopangi hizi brakes? But as I'm saying, like it's not something that I decide to feel. It's something that, shows up. And I think the only way to be fair to yourself is to acknowledge that feeling and to find ways to calm yourself around the same. And if you're with somebody that you have control over, you can tell them, can we just, you know, decrease the pace? Can we just take a moment here? And yeah, with time, maybe 2 years down the line, I'll be back here and telling you guys I'm all good. But right now, I wouldn't attach a timeline to it.
So in addition to the physical scars that one gets going through that, there are also emotional scars that take time.
Yes, you got it right.
Thank you. This journey after the accident, what I get or what I got when you're telling the story is it's a journey that had you living your life differently than before all this happened. And I've heard you mention a few times the urge to live and being fully alive. I've heard you mention living with purpose, and I've heard you mention being at peace with yourself. And I want to hear more what that feels like, what that is like. What does that actually mean? You said that in college you're living life with a definition of success that was external, and that was environmental and within the systems that you are, and that this experience made you invert that and want to be fully alive. What's that? What does that mean? How do you feel fully alive?
It's easier said than done and explained, because it's typically been alive. Like for me, what it means, as you asked, it's been in the here and now. I know it's easier said than done, and sometimes it needs a lot of work. Some of us may need to seek therapy. Some of us may need to actively meditate for you to get there. But I feel like what I would say is being here, like appreciating the here and now, because I realized the next moment isn't guaranteed. What can I do here? I'm shooting this video, like what message would I want to send out there? How best can I give it a shot? Because I mean, you've also not given me a chance to take one, take two, take three. Now, like just that take one, and that's life. You only have that take one. We are not rehearsing. Today we will never be back. So whatever conversations I have with you guys here, was that to my optimum best, and also sometimes not being hard to yourself, with yourself. It means being here, being aligned, like feeling that I gave that moment my best, and making peace. Now it aligns with making peace with yourself.
So the second
making
thing.
Peace with that. I gave it my shot. There are so many factors that could be surrounding that. There might be so many interpretations of the work that I did. There could be people with different perspectives of the same thing. There is someone who could even like just what we did record here. I could have, maybe someone else would have advised me to give it in another way. But I think that's me. That's the real me. That's the raw me. Living life raw, because that's me and that's all I got. I may not have it all figured out, but this is me now, and this is what I got. Yes.
So
being here.
Living fully is being in this present moment.
Yes, and being very raw about it, not overthinking. And I mean, that is something, as I said, it's easier said than done. That's something that you not really practice, but you have to be very intentional about it.
About being present.
Yes.
Do you have practices or rituals or ways to learn and improve being present? Or did it just come to you at once after this experience?
Well, when you talk about rituals, I'm more like, are we starting a cult here? But anyway, I would say for me, that experience was enough, was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
That experience was a wake-up call for me. But definitely, I mean, I couldn't have done it by myself. I had to seek help. It's the people who surround you who will shape how you recover from that and how you will live fully. It's aligning your priorities, because after that experience you realize that some things were actually never a priority in your life. You only thought they were, but they actually were not. It helped me like filter out like what actually mattered to me. And then now to the practices, as you're speaking, I would say I had never thought of meditating before, but there I was, kinda immobile by yourself, no phone. What do you have to do? I only had myself sometimes in that ward. So that's when I started practicing these things like meditating, the breathing exercises. Someone tried to get me into yoga. I'm still getting there, as I've said. Maybe. I have an excuse. My hand is not strong enough to hold me, but maybe sometime later I will get there. But just that, taking that time and breathing in, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but I feel like being in that moment.
Yeah, I love that. What I'm hearing is when we wake up, when we get the wake up call, we wake up into the present moment. We wake up into the here and now, and we realize all life is happening here, like it is for you and I in this moment. Wow. So then I know what you mean when you say be fully alive. I think I do, because being here with you, doing this, shooting this podcast, listening to your story, this grounds me in this moment. And there's nothing else that has my attention, that has my mind, no past, no future, no nothing, just here now.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you talk also of being at peace with yourself. What does that feel like for you, and how does one get there?
Well, I am not a wellness coach, but what I could say for me is I got to accept and acknowledge life for what it is. Because honestly speaking, it does not mean that you are not ambitious and you are not angry at yourself for some shots that you should have taken and you didn't take. They will always be there. They'll always be there. But now when we come with living the here and now, even if I left this space and I felt like I should have done something different, I should have, there will always be that. I think I should have showed up in this specific angle. I should have. But the thing is that with should, I can go back there. It has happened. It has happened. And so when you cut, when you're already fully alive, you're already intentional in every engagement that you're having with people, then it also means that to me, I would say you've already cut some self-sabotaging tendencies that you already had. Sometimes you'd want comfort, but when you actually look at it, it's not comfort. You just didn't want to put in the work. You want to ignore like something, not because you can't do it, but because you feel like it's gonna take a lot in you. You get? So when you actually take time to think about it, then you realize that it's actually not self-care, it's self-sabotage. The moment you've cracked that balance between self-care and self-sabotage by being very intentional, then you are at peace with yourself. Because even if you should have, well, I should have, but I didn't. I did what was best for me at that time. It also aligns, as you are speaking about, I think our theme was destiny. It also aligns with our destiny. As you are saying, it's not like where I got. We did shoot that podcast. We did shoot it, right? We did shoot it. I should have done this and this. But who was I at that point when I was shooting that? these other things are lessons that I might have learned after. I can only incorporate them in the future, but I cannot undo what was in the past. So the next time I get a shot, then I'm definitely improving from what we did. I don't know if I'm answering that or I'm actually digressing.
No, I feel that you're answering it.
Okay.
Because the should haves, the regrets we carry, are one of the things that make it very difficult for me to be at peace with myself. When I learn something in future and I'm wishing I could go back and undo the things I did in the past, and when I let go of all those should haves, I move closer to being at peace with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you also say, accept life as it is. Accept life as it is.
Sometimes it will be unfair and you will wish you had it better, but it's real. It's real. At that point it's real. So you can only say it's unfair, I wish, but at the end of the day you have the real thing, like the real life that you're living. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So accept real life and you're gonna be at peace. Wow. That's a powerful statement. So on to the third question that I still have.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when it comes to accepting real life and living in alignment with our purpose. Personally, what I've struggled with most is feeling like my purpose is too small, like I should be doing more, like there's something else that is more purposeful and more impactful than what I'm doing. In the theme of accepting life as it is and what I'm doing now, and living in alignment with purpose, which is one of the things you mentioned, you started to feel that now I'm living my life in alignment with purpose. What does your real life look like now that makes you feel that you're living in alignment with your purpose? And what does that purpose look like for you?
Well, that's a huge question. If I'm being honest, I don't think you can unpack your purpose in one sitting. To be honest, I don't know. But what I'll say is, I first of all acknowledge what you said, that you'll always feel like there is more to be done. You'll always have an ambition to do better and to do something bigger. And actually, when you look around, you'll always find people that you might think are actually doing, you'll actually think and acknowledge that they are doing more than you are. But again, that does not stop you from doing the little that you think you're doing. It shouldn't stop you. It shouldn't, because if it does, then you're not in your journey of purpose. Rather, you are in envy and self-regret and self-doubt. So many negative things will follow after that. So for me, I would say my purpose is actually, even at this moment, it's aligned, because I feel like right now my main focus would be to create a space for people, and especially young girls, to express themselves in their realness, in their rawness, in their mess, as we may want to call it sometimes, in their beautiful mess. Sometimes it's not beautiful at all. Like, and still know that they still got a shot. That's just life. I mean, there are people who attest that I gave the story today and it felt like a story, but it's actually something that happened to me. And I don't think the very first time I ever talked about it, I had a straight face. Sometimes I will cry. I do not own a podcast, but as you're saying, there are always different ways to do that. And so in my current engagement, I normally deal with young girls who are especially trying to break into tech. So being there and being their constant reminder. And also not just being a reminder, but actually putting in the work to make it easier for them. I don't mean handling them opportunities, because we know where we are, the world we are living in right now, but just getting them out there, getting them to own their stories, and getting them to know that you really don't have to be perfect. And that's the good thing about destiny. You don't have to be polished. Sometimes in your unpolished ways, in your unpolished what would I say? In your unpolished what word could I use? Yeah, realness. Yeah, just being real, just and allowing yourself to thrive out there. Yes. So I think that's part of the purpose that I'm living in. And also, if I can speak into healing into somebody else, because accidents don't have to be physical, you know. Yes, and as you said, even the physical accident come with emotional scars. But if I could speak healing into somebody else, if I could give someone else hope that you can actually recover after that, then I think that is still part of my purpose. And I also acknowledge that healing is very sacred. Yes. And yeah, I think I don't want to keep talking, because if you're allowed, if you give me a chance, I would keep talking and talking and talking and talking and different things, because I still feel that even your purpose keeps on evolving. So yeah, I think that's what I would say for now. And rooting it back to my belief in destiny, as you said, yes, there's what was meant to happen to you, but also there's the who it happens to. Who are you at that state? Who are the people supporting you at that state? What is your ability to recover after that thing that was meant to happen to you actually happens? How do you handle it? That is also something that we should also be thinking about when we talk about destiny. It's not just it was meant to happen. So after it happens, and also when it happens to me, at what state does it find me in? So it's always a continuous journey, and not very marvelous at sometimes. It could get very messy, the journey. But at the end of it, I feel it's miraculous. Yes.
Thank you, Daisy.
You're welcome, Kariuki. Thank you for having me.
Now, there's one question that came to mind as you talked.
Okay.
Because you say these things happened to you, but there's that Daisy that they happened to. And it makes me want to ask this final question. Who's Daisy now? Or who are you now?
Hey, hebu ngojeni kidogo. Who am I right now? I would say Daisy is still figuring herself out. I don't think I would be fair to myself if I defined myself and confined myself into specific terms and said that this is Daisy. I feel like Daisy is on a journey to still find out about herself and her ambition and her higher calling and her higher purpose. And while doing so, giving it the best shot at the moment. And I also feel like I have the right support. I have the right people around me, the right people surrounding me. Like even when the accident happened, like I had people supporting me, which really matters to me. And at the same time, I'm on a journey to inspire other girls to not feel like, this happened and so I have an excuse to not show up in the world. After all that has happened to me, and the realization that I'm not on rehearsal for this life, I can only put more effort and put more intentionality into blooming into the real Daisy. So I don't know if at some point I will have like 2 statements to describe Daisy, but right now I would say she's still a girl who's becoming. Yes. So yep, that's a wrap. And to all my girlies out there, I will keep on insisting that every story matters. Every story is divinely unique, and you need to own your story, and you need to own it and own it like not sharing it out, but sometimes make peace with yourself so that you are able to move to the next step. And I hope to see us all thrive. I hope to see us all give our best shots in this life. Remember, this is not a rehearsal. This is not a rehearsal. And again, this is not a threat. I'm saying this from the most optimistic point of view that I would. That I think that's the most optimistic part I would say. It's not a rehearsal, so this is just but a call for you to give it your best shot, because you are in this world for a purpose. You are in this world because this world needs you, and you would only need a little of push and a little of intentionality to actually figure out what it is that matters to you and own your voice, as that is the tagline for us here at Amvukisha. Feel free to, not actually feel free, but I'm actually asking you to subscribe to our channel, like our content, share it with other girlies, and we hope to see you in the next episodes and maybe even host some of you. Thank you.